Congratulations, sir, for your book on caste pride and the presentation. It was really, it's really moving. What we have achieved in that era of generation. Today, I hope you heard about the issue in Vangaivayal, where the human excreta was mixed in water, which in the tank that supplied exclusively to the Dalit hamlet. So, what do you think of that?
It reminds me of the struggles that took place over decades, right from the colonial period, among Dalits to get access to basic amenities, including, of course, water. In the year 1923, the S.K. Bole was instrumental in the enactment of a resolution passed in Bombay Legislative Council, which became the basis on which Ambedkar in 1927 initiated the struggle at Mahad to exercise that basic right, civic right, to draw water from
public tank.
From Chavada Lake. No, let me complete. That's a historical sequence I'm drawing, right? So, and there was a great deal of pushback from caste Hindus to that very simple gesture made by Ambedkar and his followers. There was violence. They were attacked. And within a few months, in the same year, 1927, within a matter of 2-3 months, the British administration ensured that justice was done to them, to Dalits who were attacked. The miscreants were immediately punished. So I'm saying it happened within a matter of months. They were imprisoned, right? And then in 1978 or so, there was an incident in Karnataka, which became the first case that the Supreme Court took up in relation to what was then called Protection of Civil Rights Act, which was a reworking of the original Untouchability Offences Act of 1955, right? So again, when the matter of justice came up in the post-independence period, what you saw was a contrast to what happened at Mahad. There, as I told you, justice was done swiftly and very efficiently. Here, the trial court convicted a few, then the High Court reversed it, then it took the Supreme Court several years later, in the early 90s, that is almost 15-16 years later.
What is the name of this case?
I don't recall the name offhand, but it was something that was delivered by a bench of Justice Kuldeep Singh and Justice K. Ramaswamy. And K. Ramaswamy gives the historical perspective of how this was the first case under the Untouchabilities law that was being taken up at the Supreme Court. And K. Ramaswamy's judgment does show how there is this structural bias on this aspect, how there is a big gap between rhetoric and reality. And what was that case? But that's important to know. It was a case of, technology had changed by then. In late 70s, it was no more about just a water body, a lake or a well. By then, you had bore wells, right? You drill those holes through the technology and you have water spurting out of those taps. Now, one such bore well was built in the vicinity of a Dalit hamlet, and it was also accessible to non-Dalits. So, non-Dalits immediately took charge of that, monopolized that, and when Dalits tried to access that bore well, they were inflicted with violence. So that was the case that the Supreme Court was dealing with. Right? So what I'm trying to say is technology had advanced, but the mindset was still very primitive, was still very regressive, right? And what do you see in 2023? This Pudukkottai incident in Tamil Nadu took place in 2023, and this was after DMK came back to power, a government that takes pride in its alleged commitment to social justice. And so many months have passed since that incident came to light. An incident that is even more shocking than what happened in Mahad in 1927 and in Karnataka in 1978. Here it is about human excrement floating on the surface of tank,
water tank,
which was exclusively serving the needs of a Dalit hamlet. Look at the lengths to which caste Hindus were going to
what do you
display their disdain for untouchables and the insecurity they feel about the increasing progress or assertiveness on the part of Dalits. So they resort to such diabolical, such unthinkable ways of teaching a lesson to them or putting them in their place, of showing spite to them, right?
So in the British period, within 2 months, the case was resolved.
Yeah.
Here, what do you think? It's been more than 1 year.
Yeah.
Not even FIR is filed.
That's what is so shocking. That is the reason why I gave that historical perspective. That in the case of Mahad, immediately an FIR was lodged and the case was investigated, the accused were prosecuted, and justice was rendered, and they were thrown into jail within a matter of few months, 2-3 months. And what happened in 70s was not a happy story. It showed that situation had regressed, and what happened in 2023 in Madras, in Tamil Nadu, shows that the situation had worsened even further. And the irony is that this is on the watch of government that professes to be committed to social justice. So it couldn't have been more shameful, than that.
Why do you think the government is not acting? Government is not. Government and the police is not doing anything about it.
Well, it's to do with the contradiction of what they profess, which is that when you talk about social justice, it can't be selective. Social justice can't be only about espousing the cause of Shudras or OBCs or intermediate castes. It should also be about whom Mahatma Phule referred to as Atishudras, or who in Madras presidency were referred to as Panchamas, or you may call them untouchables or Dalits or what have you, scheduled castes. Now, that solidarity which leaders like Phule or Ambedkar or even Periyar showed or displayed was obviously very conspicuously missing in the current generation of leaders who are deriving political mileage out of that legacy of social justice struggles fought by these great leaders. But
currently,
in practice, what they display is far different. They are, what many of these OBC leaders, OBC parties are betraying is not a commitment to social justice, is not a commitment to Periyar, but a veiled, a concealed commitment to Brahminism. They are not into the constitution or Periyar's writings or Ambedkar's radical writings. They are actually showing a deep-seated prejudice which is akin to Brahminism, which shows that they are more comfortable with the prejudices that have been displayed by Manusmriti. So they wittingly or unwittingly, the OBC communities, OBC parties, OBC leaders, or the government that is dominated by OBC leaders, they are showing that they don't believe in this solidarity between Shudras and Atishudras. They would rather be, wannabe Brahminical elements. They are betraying more a Brahminical attitude. Any such violence. Social justice cannot be selective. It can't be only for them. Social justice is by definition universal. And you cannot achieve social justice without addressing and acknowledging the centrality of Dalits. without overcoming caste atrocities. There cannot be social justice. You cannot claim to be committed to social justice unless you deal sternly with caste atrocities.
Yes.
That is a contradiction that they are caught in, that they pretend to be committed to social justice, but in reality, when their commitment is being tested through these instances, through these caste atrocities, they fail over and over again. This is not the first time. There's a pattern to it.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not just only in the context of, say, water body. It's also access to schools or any form of progress that these untouchables show. Why on earth should OBCs, who are only slightly higher than Dalits in that hierarchy, in that Varna hierarchy or caste hierarchy. So if you display this kind of contempt and if you resort to such violence against untouchables, then you are indirectly conceding the validity of that Brahminical notion that there are certain castes who are superior to you socially. So you think that, okay, these castes are superior to you and these Dalit castes are inferior to you, and therefore any progress that they make, you want to push against it in this very violent form. You know, they don't think through all that. This is a very sad situation that, as somebody said, there needs to be greater dialogue between Dalits and non-Dalits for such contradictions to come to the fore and be acknowledged and addressed.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.